Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to C.A.R. Entertainment. I'm your host Dylan Hamilton and today we're going to be talking about data mining in our A21 digital technology revision videos, guys. And without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into this because data mining is it's just one of those topics that once you get your head around it's quite nice if it comes up. So we'll just get straight into it. So what actually is data mining? Well, data mining is the process of discovering patterns in this thing called big data, which is just essentially a shit ton of data. So pardon my French, but it's just a large amount of data. But we'll go on to talk about big data later on in the PowerPoint. So yeah, it's a process of discovering patterns in big data with a view to discovering patterns and trends that go beyond simple analysis. So it's not simple analysis, it's quite complicated. Like I said, big data is a huge amount of information. So the main aim of it is that data mining will extract information from this big data set and then it will transform it into an appropriate format for future use. The data mining process will stop when the process of pattern extraction stops. So it's just pattern extraction essentially. So big data then, what is big data thing? Well, it's a data set that is so complex that a traditional database is only able to capture, curate, manage and process the data within an acceptable time frame. It's just too much of it. The main example you'll find this through is genetics and genetic code. There's just far too much for it to go through and there's a big data set. So big data challenges are defined as volume. That's a challenge because the amount of data has to be processed is so much. The variety is another challenge because the number of types of data has to be analysed is just huge as well. And the velocity, the speed of data processing, can you do it fast enough? So big data gathering then. So the data sources are categorized into internal and external. The internal are things like customer details, product details, and sales data, whereas external can be known as things like business partners, data suppliers, the internet, and the government. If you do business studies, you'll just be able to sort of think of it as your stakeholders. So customers as an internal stakeholder. The products you have as a stakeholder, but it's internal, it's within the business. Sales, again, within the business. External, your business partners are not really within the business. Data suppliers, they're people who supply you. Suppliers are external. The internet's external, so is the government. So the commonly used data sources that you use are social media, machine data, which is data that is generated from chip readers and GPS results, and transactional data, which is data that is generated from companies. So big data storage then. Well, the key requirement of big data storage is that you need to be able to handle a very large amount of data and keep scaling up with the growth of data sets. So you have to keep scaling to keep up with growth. So you need to keep scaling it up at the same point as along with handling a very large amount of data. And these data sets provide high-speed input-output operation to support the delivery of data analytics. So the different methods of processing big data then. So you need to be able to process and analyze big data, and this is how you do it. You can do it through cluster analysis, which is whenever you get groups of data records and identify them. You can use classification, which is determining the appropriate structure to the new data. You can use anomaly decision, which is just basically pointing out which ones are unusual, which are anomalies here. Therefore, it might, for example, that won't be used in medicine quite often. You use the association rule mining and the sequential pattern mining, which is dependencies between the data will be identified. You can use regression, which is whenever relationships between the data variables are investigated, and this helps to know how the change in the independent variable impacts upon the dependent data variable. And summarization, which is whenever data is summarized in a visual format. So what is the importance of big data then? Well, big data will help companies get an insight into their potential revenue increases, or they will help the company determine how they can gain or retain customers and improve operations. Big data will be used quite heavily in things like decision tree analysis, and if you do business studies, I advise you to watch that video. We will be putting up at a later date. Financial services, big data is quite important in the financial services because each interaction that is made will generate data, such as customer profiles will be changing rapidly, and financial organizations will need a reliable means of analyzing the data. Banks will use social media to gauge customers' feedback on products. Social media is an example of a big data source. So the key objectives for the financial sector. How does the financial sector use data mining and big data? Well, they have to ensure that they're complying with regulations because by using traditional data processing platforms, it is becoming increasingly expensive and unsustainable for them. So they use complex fuzzy matching, which is applied on the name matching at lower costs. It helps them improve risk analysis as they can use complex algorithms which run on large volumes of transactional data, and this can help them identify fraudulent activity. They have an understanding of customer behavior and transaction patterns better because they can analyze the customer data and predict the customer spending habits, and it improves their services because once they analyze the customer data, they can help identify patterns to read the customer dissatisfaction. In the health sector, the more data you collect is used to pick up early warning signs of a serious illness, and this treatment can be simpler and cheaper. An example of this is maybe going through the person's genetics and see if they're likely to get breast cancer through DNA, stuff like that there. And also smartphones as well, they can upload data for a GP to use, and therefore they can tailor healthcare programs for their clients. And the retail sector, which is the one that's most likely to actually come up for you in your exam, is that they can help predict trends and forecast demand using data mining, because they can use trend forecasting algorithms to help determine what products will be pushed forward by the marketing organizations, and it helps them use price optimization as well, so they can determine where the demand's going to be, helping them with their demand and supply curves. By using the analysis of demographic data and economic indicators and the spending habits of consumers, they can track the demand against their inventory, and the competitor will ensure they respond quickly to real-time changes in the market activity. And they can also identify potential consumers, because by collecting data through transactional records and allowing for the demand to be forecast around geographic areas. Thanks for watching this video. I've been Dylan Hamilton from C.A.R Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.